Hello, hello, loves. Welcome back to another episode of the Aligned and Magnetic podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. Today's episode is from a post that I posted on Threads, and then I posted it on Instagram. And right now, at the time of recording, it's October 29th. I have no idea when this episode is actually going to air. But I want to give you some context. So, lunar eclipse, full moon last night. I woke up around 2:45 in the morning. My dog, for some reason, needed to go to the bathroom. Classic. And I could not fall back to sleep. My mind was just racing. And I was thinking about everything. I was thinking about how I'm behind on my finances, how I'm behind on my launch, how I have to launch this podcast, how I've got to do all of these different things that I've committed to. And I just feel like I'm paralyzed by all of this work. And so this got me into this thinking pattern of thinking I'm a failure, thinking that I should just close my doors and get a job, instead of putting all this time and effort into building a business. And, my mindset was just obviously in a very bad place. I don't think that I would ever close my doors and actually go back to a job. However, these thoughts are relevant and they are there. So last night I went through the whole thing. I went through thinking I'm a failure, thinking I should change my niche again because I'm like, oh, it's not working. Like, I only have 3 people inside of the Aligned and Magnetic Business Accelerator. I only have, less than 200 people on my email list. I only have this many people here and there and blah, 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 blah. We can totally get lost in this, creating this drama or this story for ourselves, right? We could completely paint like a different picture of reality than what is actually true. And what is actually true is I'm working with some really incredible people right now, some inside of the accelerator, some one-on-one. And like when I look at that versus all of these other stipulations that I'm making to define my success, like I am successful, I am attracting clients, I am doing what I need to be doing. And obviously there's like all these projects that are weighing on my mind. And that's just part of it. That's just part of what we need to learn to navigate as entrepreneurs and prioritize, like learn how to prioritize and all of that stuff. So I was thinking about like, maybe I need to go back to just talking about manifestation. Maybe my niche isn't working. And I have a client who goes through like every few months, like almost an identity crisis. And this is a really big part of the G center. So if your G center in human design is undefined, my wife also actually has this. You're probably resonating with being a social chameleon. You can really blend into any social situation. However, your identity is often linked up with other people's identities, people who have the center defined, aka me, who have a strong sense of belief in themselves and who maybe know themselves and know their direction. And you may look at them and think like, well, I don't know my direction. I don't know my purpose and what I'm here for and where to go and what to do. And so this obviously like happens in my world as well, where I'm like, oh, maybe I need to go back to like manifestation, right? And what I want to say is that, I feel like the niche, when it comes to your personal brand, like I understand niching and I understand solving problems. Like figure out what problem you solve and solve that problem and tell people about the problem that you solve. And also I think that there's so many different potentials for what we can do and be here on earth. And I feel like a lot of people place a lot of emphasis on that direction and that like knowing themselves and being certain about their niche and being certain about their direction. And I just want you to know, like from my own lens as a defined G center, like there's times when I don't even, know my niche anymore. And I just have to really lean into like my story and not make my whole business about like obviously it's connected intrinsically with my purpose and my direction and what I'm here to do. However, we don't need to get lost in this mind game of like, oh, well, maybe I'm not like living out my purpose. Maybe I'm focusing on the wrong thing, or maybe I'm not, because often when we look at it, and this happens, this is a common theme with my clients who have this undefined G center, and even my wife, right? Like when we look at it on the large scale, while yes, you might be feeling like you have identity crises, actually the thing that you're thinking you need to pivot into or niche into is not much different than where you came from, right? But there's this feeling, or there's this sense that like, well, I need to be certain about my direction. I'm lost, I'm directionless, right? And if we can just like let that go and kind of just start creating based on maybe what you know to be true, or what you believe in, or what your values are, depending on what areas of your chart you have defined, we can lean into those areas that have consistent energy flow to create more stability in your business. And by doing that, you can create at least a consistent message. You don't have to worry so much about like your specific niche, for example, but what you learn in life and what you continue learning just becomes part of your personal brand. I hope this is making sense. And if you would like a human design reading to help you with how to like apply your energy to your business, I would be happy to give you one. So I'll post the link for that in the show notes. These readings have been really like life-changing for people. So I would be honored to read your chart for you. Okay, so in this post, I go on to say that, you know, I'm thinking about going back to like manifestation niche, thinking about all these different things. Like, what am I going to do? Like, where do I go from here? And I think a lot of us get stuck in this mentality when we haven't really even actually given our business a complete chance yet. If I'm being 100% honest with you, at this moment, October 29th, 2023, I have not completed a full launch with the accelerator. I've gotten like close to there, but I have not followed through and really created the amount of noise that I need to be creating in order to get the results that I desire. So when we can look at things from kind of more of an objective perspective, we can see like, okay, it's not just me. I'm not just crazy. I just haven't given it my all. There's obviously some sort of self-sabotaging tendency here. Let's look at that instead of like looking at what I'm making my results mean, you know what I mean, about myself. Because always it comes back to like us and who we are. And I notice a lot of my clients struggle with this. They get so stuck in their head thinking that like, oh, I haven't made it yet because this, or I haven't done it yet because this. And if you look at the actions that they're taking, it's like, well, you know, there's a big opportunity here to step even more into just different things, right? And different things that can create deeper relationships, different things that can serve your audience on a deeper level. Like, you know, offering free calls is something that I've gone back to because we're in a changing time. Like, things have changed since COVID, and I was resisting for so long hopping on these free coaching calls and like really reaching out to people. But then I realized like this is part of the service that I offer. This is part of what it is to work with me, because I do provide that level of support. I do provide that high level of service. And so I've been getting on a lot of free coaching calls and allowing that to be the sale, allowing that to sell itself, allowing me to sell myself without selling, you know? If you're listening to this and you're resonating so far, we are doing Sales Queen status inside of the Aligned and Magnetic Business Accelerator. This is a mini mastermind that I'm opening up to the public. I would love it. I would love to have you. So I'll post the link to that in the show notes. Feel free to check it out. But Sales Queen status is all about creating ways to sell that are authentic to you and they're not like used car salesmen, because I believe that when we sell from a place of heart-centeredness, when we sell from our heart and not our brain, or not like what we think we have to do to sell, your work speaks for itself, right? There's no need to sell because you are the embodiment of the work. You know what I mean? And yes, there's of course invitations. We have to invite people into working with us. And there's also a way to do that that feels good, right? With that, actually, I was, thinking about my new mini mastermind inside of the Aligned and Magnetic Business Accelerator. And I was like, no one's going to buy, like my audience is too small. I got to focus on ads first, or focus on, my lead magnet and growing my audience and blah, 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 blah. And we can get stuck in all of these different things that we have to do. And really what we have to do is follow the guidance. You know what I mean? Like we get so stuck in our heads about all of these different steps we must follow. And yet what our heart's really feeling called to put out there is, maybe something different. And we have to trust that. Like, we have to trust that the universe is communicating through us, that our higher selves knows exactly what is needed, and lean on that. So my whole thing right now, as of this moment when I'm recording, is really getting the word out there about Sales Queen status, because the way that I sell is so different than the way that other people sell, the way that other people teach sales. And I really want to help people step into that authentic magnetism that is available to them, right? And so if I'm holding myself back from doing that because I believe I'm not going to get enough people, because my list is too small and my audience is too small, not enough people are engaged on my stories, then I'm severely limiting myself, and also limiting the opportunity for people who are ready for that offer to jump in with me, right? And so what's really helpful here is seeing your business as a long-term game, and not just like a short-term, like I must have a successful launch right now. Like, no, this is all about building relationships for right now and for in the future. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into this whole mindset thing that I was up with last night, because I call it, like, you know, our brain will try to come in and tell us things maybe that we are capable or not capable of doing. It'll try to trick us. It'll try to convince us that we're not worthy or capable. Now, when I was promoting Rise Goddess back in 2020, I related this to being the devil. And I heard in 2020 so loudly and so clearly, like, this is what they talk about in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, this is what church talks about, is the devil. And the devil is not necessarily it's not necessarily indulging in temptation. While that may or may not be part of it, I don't know, follow what feels right for you. I think that it also has to do with the devil that's in our minds that is keeping us small. And I don't even know necessarily that it's in our minds, because what I believe is that consciousness can come through us, right? So consciousness is all around, everywhere. Like, we as human beings are so capable of tapping into knowledge and wisdom and channeling and being connected with, like, everything else that is out there, right? We are so much more connected than we think we are. And I think that one of the ways in which we are connected is through consciousness. And so in this post, you know, I shared that this feels, it's very vulnerable for me to do stuff like this, for me to tell you, like, I think that I'm shit. I think that I failed. I think that I should close my business doors. Like, that doesn't feel like the most inspiring thing, but also it feels real. And I want you to know that just because you see me as, like, somebody who's got their shit together, there are very many times where I don't have my shit together and where I do struggle mentally, right? And I don't think that this is something that really actually changes. I think that maybe we get better at seeing it and better at questioning ourselves and better at identifying and moving through it, but I don't believe that it stops completely. And so I wanted to talk about this because if I'm going through it, like, there's got to be someone. I don't know if you're listening to this on the other side, like, if you do go through this, if you are going through this, I would love for you to tell me, because I want to connect with you. Like, I want to just be there to support you. I would love to just send you some love and some encouragement, because we all go through these situations, you know? And I think honestly that people who don't go through it are kind of like, I don't know, are they even real humans? I think that everybody has limiting beliefs to a degree. So when our brain is trying to convince us that we are not capable, that we are not worthy, that we can't do it, that our audience is too small, that it's not possible, that we can't have what we want, I want to invite you to be the observer of those thoughts and not attach those thoughts with any meaning. So where I see a lot of people go wrong here, and where I went wrong in the past before I got really good at mindset, which, by the way, my 6-step mindset framework is available for purchase in the show notes. This will be a really big help for you if you are struggling with anything that I've mentioned today, just for you to start to be aware of those thoughts. So what I see commonly is that people take those thoughts on as their own. They're like, oh, that is my thought. I identify with that thought. But when you identify with that thought, you are allowing that thought to take ownership of you. You're allowing that thought to be part of you. But what if, like, hear me out for a sec, what if that thought is just a thought, one of many thoughts that you can have, that you can choose to take ownership of, that are floating around in consciousness, and the only reason that you're identifying with it is because maybe it's negative, or it reinforces a belief you already have about yourself, right? And so what if, instead of taking on that thought and overly identifying that with those thoughts, that you're not worthy, that you're not capable, that you can't do it, what if you were to just simply observe those thoughts, watch them kind of float by, and not necessarily like shrink back into your shell or take action on them, but use them as leverage to motivate you and say, fuck you, like, I got this, I can do this. One of the biggest things, and I'm doing this right now, right? One of the biggest ways that I like to do this is by using these experiences and these thought processes, or these, like, whatever I go through, and using it as content, like using it as a way to teach, right? Teach what I already know to be true. And what I know to be true is that we can change our minds, we can change our thoughts, we can even change our DNA. We can create different realities for ourselves, but it takes work to get there, right? But if you're ready to do the work, if you're ready to own the story and really be a good, I would say, gardener of your mental garden, take out the weeds, take out the stuff that's not, not part of the bigger picture, not part of the bigger vision, then it's a lot easier to maintain a state of stability, I would say, to maintain stable trajectory instead of riding these ups and downs and ups and downs. And so I want to also say that this is coming at a time where I'm entering my luteal phase in my cycle. The luteal phase is like, I think 10 to 14 days prior to getting your period. And I've noticed the more I am connected to myself and my body, the louder my luteal phase is, the more tired I am. The more tired I am, the less energy I have, and the louder my thoughts. And again, like, this isn't to say that it's necessarily bad. It's just to say that this is part of the process. And what I was actually talking to my yoga teacher about this the other day, because I was telling her, like, when I lived in Canada, I wasn't really aware of all this. Like, I'd have my period and I'd push through, or like I'd feel tired, but I would push through. And that's just like what it is. Like, that's what it is to live in fucking Western society, which if you live there, I like bless you for real, because it's a whole other world. And what I have discovered is that now, like, the closer I am to me, the closer I am to the rhythms of nature, the closer I am to the cycles and the seasons of nature and what it is to be a human, the deeper I feel the effects. However, sometimes I'm like, well, fuck, why do I feel it so deeply? Like, why is this so hard? Why does this have to be this way? But what's actually really great about it is, instead of suppressing that tiredness, that exhaustion, those feelings and those emotions, and just allowing them to build, because when you don't release your emotions, your anger, your trauma, your any of that, it remains within your body, it remains within your vessel. Then you live life kind of as this fragmented being who's, either living in the past or living in the future, and you can't fully harness the power of being yourself and the best version of you, because you are elsewhere. You're thinking about, this trauma that you had back when you were a kid, or you're thinking about protecting your heart because you don't want to get heartbroken again. All of those different things. That's a whole other topic. So if you're suppressing it, then it just ends up building up, and that's when we, see a lot of women with a lot of body issues, right? Due to hormones, due to the reproductive system, due to, whatever it might be. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a direct link. However, I do feel like it's a big part of it. So anyway, a little bit about that in my brain, my process of thinking. I always believe that our symptoms and what we're manifesting can be linked back to a belief or trauma that we've had. This kind of relates to what I was talking about in a previous episode around sometimes our subconscious will come in and test us and let us know when we maybe don't 100% believe that we can have the thing that we want. And it definitely applies here, because when we have these limiting beliefs, so this morning when I woke up, I actually had a journaling session, and I wrote down, like, okay, here are the beliefs. Are these true? No. What do I want to believe instead? To be able to shift the narrative and step into a higher frequency, because if I were to just continue on with my day after the night that I had, it's very unlikely that I would be here recording this podcast episode with you. I would probably be like, I don't know, watching TV or something on a Sunday. It's Sunday, by the way. So yeah. So, I just want to kind of close this off with saying, like, success is uncomfortable. The idea of success can be uncomfortable. The idea of failure, of like putting yourself out there and getting nothing, can be uncomfortable and scary. And I believe that a lot of entrepreneurs experience a lot of this, and that's okay. It's part of the process. And I think we have to get maybe better, like work on our recovery period, work on not taking it so personally, but just seeing it as part of the process of being an entrepreneur. And I just want to say, like, we only really fail when you choose to listen to that inner voice, the devil, or your negative thoughts, and make them prevent you from taking action, or from trying at all, right? So just to recap, what if your self-doubt, your negative thoughts weren't actually yours, but were coming through consciousness to allow you to experience it as part of the life that you kind of signed up for? Like, I believe we all chose to come here for one reason or another, to experience Earth and humanity. So what if those thoughts weren't actually you, but were just part of that experience, right? Then what? What if these thoughts came through you, but never were actually a part of you to begin with? Like, what if we accumulated maybe different thoughts and beliefs because of different traumas that we had through life, and different experiences that have reinforced maybe certain beliefs or behavior about ourselves? And what if you can use those thoughts and that experience to motivate you? Like, if you were to take that and use it as motivation to, offer humanity or people or yourself, your clients, a solution or a lesson, like, how would you take action moving forward? What if your self-doubt was there as a reminder, simply a reminder of who you used to be or who you once thought that you were, and was maybe the impetus that you needed to say, fuck you, I'm going to do it. Like, I am enough. I'm more than capable of achieving what I want. And what if those thoughts were never yours to take or own? Like, what if they were never yours to begin with? What if you were never designed to take on those thoughts and to believe those thoughts? What if you could believe all the positive thoughts and all the positive feedback that came your way? How would your life change? How would your thought process change, right? So I want to leave you on the note to say, we all experience self-doubt, every single one of us, but don't allow your self-doubt to make you crawl back into your shell. Use it as leverage. Figure out a way to use it as leverage to show the world what you're really fucking made of. Because if I know you at all, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to say I know you, because we're the same. You have something to offer people. I don't care if you are a VA. I don't care if you are a coach. I don't care if you are meal prepping or meal planning for people. I don't care what it is that you're choosing to do with the outlet or the way in which you support others. You are here for a divine purpose, and that is what matters. And the more that you allow these negative thoughts to impact the moves that you make and the things that you are here to do and the things that you are taking action on, right? Like, the further you fall away from your path, the further that you fall away from your divine purpose and the divine plan for you. And I'm going to even just like put this in there, that the unhappier you are going to be with yourself and with your life, because once you have that inner knowing that you are here for something bigger, something better, something more, you have to follow it, right? Otherwise you get either sick, you get, burnt out, exhausted, crazy shit happens to you, and it's because you are here to follow your divine path. Sorry, it's a huge ass responsibility, and I'm almost like rather rather go back and like be ignorant to the world, you know what I mean, and be ignorant to all of this, but at the same time not, because I'll do another episode on this, but man, I was telling somebody the other day that like I felt so like experiences that were truly divine and truly incredible, I felt so ungrateful for them, and I knew, like, I had this feeling that I should feel something bigger about this. I should feel more grateful or more gratitude, or this is a really big experience and I really want to soak it in, but I couldn't. Like, my heart was closed off. I was blocked off. And now I'm in this space where I can really, truly, fully embrace everything that I go through and experience. And of course, I, sometimes revert back to old ways and I'm thinking about work or business or whatever, but just the quality of my life, and not because of money or finances or material things, but because of what I get to experience as a result of doing the work, is so fucking different. And I would not change. Like, if my business failed tomorrow, I would be okay with it because of all of the work that I've gotten to do on myself to get to where I am today. Now my words have been manifesting very powerfully lately, so I'm gonna say I am not closing my business. I am 100% here to serve and grow and show you how you can create a life and a business that you are in love with. All right, I love you so much. I'm sending you waves of abundance and waves of inspiration and motivation and just so much love for yourself as you continue to move through the journey of life and entrepreneurship, of believing in yourself. And I just want you to know that I believe in you. And if there's anything that I can do to help you with along your entrepreneurial journey or life journey, just let me know. I am here. Send me a message. And if you loved this episode, please consider leaving a review. It's very helpful for me to hear your feedback and to hear what resonates, So anyway, love you. Hey love, thanks for tuning into today's episode. I hope you got the message that you needed today. Make sure to check out any links that I talked about, any programs or anything that I talked about is going to be linked in the show notes. Rise Goddess, let me tell you about this. Rise Goddess is launching very, very soon, and this program only comes around once every 2 years. It's such a potent program. It will change your freaking life. Everybody that goes through this program tells me, like, Lauren, you should launch it again. You should launch it again. You should launch again. It changed my life. So if you are ready to step into your power, connect with your intuition, and really leverage that connection to see success in your life that is authentic to you and your desires, while also squashing any limiting beliefs that are getting in your way, see the link below, because doors will be opening soon and they're only going to be open for about 2 weeks. So you're either going to want to get on the wait list or you're going to want to sign up right away if doors are open. All right. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for being here.